Good evening, family. What's going on? Man, I hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving on yesterday. Hope you didn't eat too much turkey. I did, but a lot of people don't know this. As a matter of fact, my wife just found out turkey and dressing is actually my favorite meal. Yep. So for the next week, I'll be eating turkey and dressing. I know a lot of you probably think that's too much, but not for me. Then I probably shouldn't be doing that because of health reasons, right? But listen, so I'm so glad you joined me tonight for this webinar for men. I think I have something really special for you. I think I have something special for you. So I'm gonna get right into it. But first, I do want to ask. Sorry, I feel like my ears popping. So I do want to ask before we get started, for you to be open-minded, right? I know a lot of times we men can be difficult to move or difficult to grab hold to something different and new if it's not already within the realm of what we've decided to believe. So I want you to stay open, stay teachable. And that's the main thing. This is going to be a multi-layer series, I guess. But stay teachable. Why would you stay teachable? Because you have to realize that all the knowledge in the world, you don't have all of it, right? There are things that you don't know. There are things that you don't know. There are things that you don't know. But then there's a whole nother realm of information where you don't even know what you don't know. And so some of the things that I may share, don't just dismiss it because it may be within the realm of you don't even know that you don't know this, and you may need to know it. So be open-minded and stay teachable, okay? So I was thinking the other day about what it means to be a man. Now, as I pondered this, I realized, in the midst of me pondering, I realized that I had actually become the man that I wished my father could have raised me to be. But listen to what I said. I realized, meaning I was not consciously aware of it at first. I realized that I had become the man that I had wished my father could have raised me to be. I didn't say I wish he would have raised me, but could have raised me to be. I say could have because he didn't have it. Like, he gave me what he had. And so there was no way that my dad could raise me to be the man that I am, right? And so for me to say, I wish he would have done it, that'd be requiring him to do something that he couldn't do, right? But my dad gave me what he had, just like your dad. Your dad did the same thing. Your dad gave you what he had. Now, some of you may be saying, well, my dad wasn't around, so he gave me nothing. Facts. He gave you what he had. So the more I thought about this, thought of what it means to be a man, the more I felt the urge to use my gift to give you something to help you be better men and do life better. Right now, I could be wrong, but I strongly believe that if men would get themselves together, the women and children would follow. See, I don't think that it was random. I don't think it was by random selection that God made the man first. He could have created the woman first. He could have created them at the same time, right? He could have created them the same way. But because I believe that nothing about God is random or without purpose, there is significance in how he started the human race. Now, the significance is not in one gender being better than the other. The significance is not in one having more rights than the other. The significance is in the order of creation and his intent for marriage. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail here, But the husband and wife both have equal value. However, they do not have equal responsibility in the marriage. See, the wife is responsible for taking care of the husband's heart. She does that primarily through her respect. But the husband is responsible for taking care of her everything. And that shows up in the way that he loves her, right? When a husband loves a wife, he should be concerned about her physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental needs. Now, he cannot meet her every need, but he should be concerned about her every need. The problem is the way that we raise our boys, and the way that some of us men were raised. It does not prepare us to love a wife. But not only are most men not prepared to love a wife, most men aren't prepared for life. Now, let me tell you what I mean when I say life. The essence of life is relationships. You can have the ability, the talent, the skills to make millions, but if you are not successful at relationships, then you are not doing life well. You may be a man, but you are human first. And as a human, relational intelligence is the most crucial skill of all. If men would learn how to relate better, I imagine the whole world would change. So my goal is to help you increase your life skills so that you can enjoy life on the planet better, right? Now, I plan to use some of my own life experiences of me evolving into a man, as well as research to help you be a better you. Now, I call this talk Discovering the Manhood, because I'm thinking of manhood like neighborhood, right? It's the hood we men live in. And I want to help change the way we live in our hood. Manhood, right? So currently, I have 8 main topics that I want to address with you men, okay? But because it is so much content, and I want to make sure that I can take my time with it and unpack it for you, I've decided to take the next 4 weeks to share this information with you. But there's a change. Instead of Fridays at 6, I'm going to be doing Mondays at 7. It's going to be called Manhood Monday. Okay. Now, it won't be this following Monday, but this coming Monday, but the following Monday, which is December the 7th, that's when I'll start. After tonight, that's where I'll start. So here are the 8 topics that I have. I want to give them to you. So I'm going to talk about growing up versus being raised, emotional maturity, and emotional maturity, because there's another part to that. Oh, emotional maturity and vulnerability. Yeah, and this one I'm going to talk about the gift of authenticity. That's going to be good. Then I'm going to talk about learning to communicate. Talk about anger and self-control, sex and pornography. Then I'm going to talk about being a dad, being a husband, and then the last topic is God and purpose. Now, I'm curious, which one of these, just by hearing the title, which one of these are you most interested in? If you don't mind taking a quick second, put it in the chat. Which one of those topics you think, or which one of those topics just stood out for you? Oh, I forgot. I need to pull up my. Where's my YouTube? Well, if you're commenting, I probably can't see it because I'm using a new system. I'm finally using my Mac, and so I don't see YouTube with the system that I'm doing, but I can see that there are people watching, but I can't see your comments. And normally the comments will come up here, but either way. So for tonight, for the time that we have, what I want to do is briefly touch on each one and give you an overview or an idea of what I plan to cover over the next few weeks. Now, I say 4 weeks, but as I'm preparing material, it may go longer than that. So it may go into the new year, because I don't want to cut it short or take things out that I think is valuable just because I say it 4 weeks. I'm trying to fit it into the 4 weeks. So right now I'm thinking 4 weeks, but it may be more than that, because I may have to spend more than 1 week on a particular topic. I'm only doing 35 to 45 minutes on each one of these talks. Okay. So let's talk about the first one. Let me pull this down. Pull this down. Pull that down. All right. So what was the first one I said? The first one I said was growing up. Growing up versus being raised. All right. Let's talk about that. So if you're like me, you were not raised, you simply grew up. Okay. The idea of being raised is about intentional investment into who you will become. And too many of us did not have that. My parents did not raise me. Right. Now, that is not a judgment on them. They did what they knew how to do. My dad was focused on providing. My mom was focused on emotionally surviving. And I was left to figure out life on my own. As long as I did not get in trouble or make D's and F's, then my parents were good. But I'm going to tell you, it is really dangerous to leave it up to a child to figure out how to do relationships, i.e. life, right? Without intentional direction, a child will simply model what he perceives. But the men who actually were raised, let me talk to you. The men who are actually raised often are no better off than the others, because they are raised to be something they were never created to be. And I'll go into this greater detail as we talk about this over the next few weeks, but most men are not raised to be human. All right? You may have heard me say that before. To be human is to be imperfect, to have and express emotions, to cry, to ask questions, to not have all the answers, right? These things we steal from our boys before they even leave elementary school. We focus too much on them being successful by society standard, which is, making money and being a breadwinner, instead of teaching them relational skills. Without relational skills, our boys, when they grow up to men, they will suffer. Don't get me wrong. Work ethic is good. It's crucial. You need work ethic, right? Being a high achiever is really good. But those things don't matter as much, if at all, when your relationship with yourself and with others are poor. So that's the being raised versus being growing up versus being raised. And so then the next one is emotional maturity and vulnerability. Right? When we talk about emotional maturity and vulnerability, we will be at the heart of why most men suffer in life. Yeah. Why most men suffer. Emotional maturity. Right? When parents fail to realize, when parents fail to realize that you don't have to make a boy tough, they do things that disrupt the natural, I'm gonna call it the natural order, right? I'm guilty of it also, right? All of my children are grown. I have 2 boys, and they're grown. But I too fail to realize that when you have a boy, you don't have to make him tough. He's a boy. God already created him different. But in our attempt to make him tough, we sacrifice emotional maturity. And a lot of times we want them to be tough based on a world we think they're going to grow up in. And we feel like if they're not a certain kind of toughness, then they won't survive, or they'll be weak, or, if we let them cry, then they'll be, pansies. I actually don't know what pansies mean. I know how to use it though. So you get what I'm saying. But look, watch this. The sad part is that it is such a part of the norm in our culture that even men agree that being raised this way is okay. That's like the slave believing that slavery was good for them. Just because you survive, meaning you didn't die, because I would venture to say that you probably did not survive in the way you think. But if survival meaning you're not dead, just because you survive doesn't mean that you're okay, right? Most parents are not emotionally mature themselves. And so if a parent is not emotionally mature, it is impossible for them to give to their child, to their sons, what they don't have themselves. And if you are the father of a son, it does not matter how well your intentions are or were, how much you provided, or how much better you think your son is than you, right? Because that's something I just want to raise my kids to be better than me. Newsflash, you can't. You can raise them to achieve higher than you. You can raise them to have more stuff than you. But you can't raise them to be better than you. No. If you're not emotionally mature, then your son or sons will not be emotionally mature either. They can't get from you what you don't have. And that's where they'll suffer. Running corporations or countries emotionally immature, right? Sadly, that's what a lot of parents actually punish their teenagers for, not realizing that they're the root cause of the child's emotional immaturity, right? To enjoy your life is to enjoy your relationships. To enjoy your relationships is to embrace vulnerability. Most men are afraid of vulnerability because they've been conditioned that way. So that's why emotional maturity and vulnerability go together. An inability to be vulnerable will block, trust me when I tell you, an inability to be vulnerable will block the free flow of love, like Matumbo in the paint. Like love will not flow if you cannot be vulnerable. It's not possible because you got to open up. And that's dangerous for us men, right? And then we get to learning to communicate, right? Now, I'm not going to be teaching you, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, right? But the topic of communication is it's like a huge topic, and you hear it all the time. Anytime you ask someone, hey, what does it take for marriage to be successful or relationships to be successful? At the top of the list is going to be communication. But it's so interesting that while it's almost universally understood that communication is important, most folk don't do it well, right? So my goal is to, first of all, downsize the topic, right, and give you the nuts and bolts of communication so that you can do it better and create better relationships, right? Being a better communicator is directly connected to emotional maturity. Yep, directly connected. You have to be able to communicate your thoughts and your feelings in a way that conveys a clear message of who you are and what you need. And so I want to teach you also how to listen more effectively and how to how not to take things so seriously, even when someone intends. How to not take things so personal, even when someone intends for it to be personal. Like they throw a personal attack. I want to show you how not to take that, but you can just block that and keep on moving. I want to show you how to not take so many things personal, and particularly in your marriage, because it's easy. No one can get under your skin like your wife. That's just facts. It's just what it is. Now, I know there are women on here and the wives are saying the same thing about you. True. But no one can get under your skin like your wife. But I really want to show you how not to take things personal. Now, one of the most important elements of communication is validation, right? And so we'll talk a good while about validation because I've been talking about validation for the last few weeks. It is so powerful in keeping you off the crazy cycle when you're communicating, but also for building intimacy and helping you be a great listener. So all of that is combined in one when we talk about learning to communicate. And then we're going to talk about anger and self-control, right? Now, of the few emotions that we men are allowed to have, anger is probably the most common. But anger actually is what we call a secondary emotion, right? What that means is you may see anger on the outside, but the root of anger is pain, fear, confusion, or some other emotion, right? Sometimes you don't even know what you feel inside, but what comes out is anger. So we're going to talk about dealing with unresolved anger and the gift of forgiveness. Because you got to know that forgiveness is a gift. And I'm going to show you why that is so. And that ain't even about religion. It's just humanity. You got to forgive if you want to be emotionally well. Right. And then along with anger, we will talk about self-control. Right. When we show up to adulthood without emotional maturity, we will lack self-control. But not only will we lack self-control, we'll spend too much time in the realm of other control, trying to control other people. Now, when I talk about, I tell clients sometimes, hey, you're trying to control them. They don't see it because, I'm not good at, I guess, giving words that's softer so that you can understand what I'm saying. So I just say the word, then I explain it. But a lot of times, you don't have to be a controlling person per se, like an obviously controlling person, for you to try to control people's behavior. And when I show this to you, you'll see that you're probably trying to control your wife or your children or your coworkers or boss or whoever more than you may think. Now, a part of self-control is the fact that it is not wise to allow your appetite to drive you. All right. To make it more plain, let me say it this way. You have to know how to deny yourself. Not everything, but deny yourself the thing that you want and the thing that would feel good for the purpose of accomplishing a greater good. Right. I want to show you that. And then we're going to talk about sex and pornography. Yeah. Pornography is one of the most destructive devices available to men. A lot of men think that it's harmless, but it is way, way, way far from harmless. Trust and believe, right? As a matter of fact, the destruction that porn causes on the mind and the emotions is noted in research, not the Bible. All right? We're going to talk about it. But I also talk about how to have a healthy sex life with your wife, and also how you can potentially, I can't make no guarantees, but how you also can potentially increase the frequency of it. Now, the quality of it, I can't do nothing about that, right? And I'm talking about the physical part, because the emotional part, you can improve the quality of it emotionally, like with the connection or whatever. But we're going to talk about sex, right? And I haven't started on that part yet, so I don't know how deep it's going to go. But we're men. We're grown. We're going to talk about sex. It's not going to be vulgar, right? It's not going to be obscene. It's not going to be objectifying to women. But it's going to be real talk. Okay? It's definitely going to be real talk. And then the topic of being a dad. Being a dad is a very important role. I'll tell you how important the role of being a dad is. Most of the people who come into my office have issues that stem from the relationship with their dad. When it stems from the mom, her issues usually stem from her dad. Or somewhere along the line, there's a man who is out of his place, out of his God-designed place, because there's a place that a man is supposed to be. And a lot of dysfunction happens when men are out of place. And I want to help you be a better dad so that you can be better at molding our future, really, right? I want to give you some countercultural wisdom to help you raise better humans, right? And I'll talk about your role in talk about your role in their life, the role in the life of your son, as well as the role of the life in your daughter, and watch this, the different stages at which these roles change, because you don't keep the same parental role from elementary all the way through high school. If you try to, you're going to injure them and frustrate you, right? I have clients who they try to control their 16, 17, 18-year-old sons the way they did when they were 6 and 7. That will not work. Yes, it's your house. Yes, you pay the bills. Yes, you run. Yeah, you can put them out. But who are you helping? What's the point of that, right? So I want to help you be a better father to your children so that we can produce better humans, because better humans affects all of us, right? It affects society as a whole. I'm gonna talk about discipline and the difference between discipline and punishment. They're not the same things, okay? That's very important. If you've done any work with me, you know I'm very passionate about parenting, so this part is going to be really good. But there's a difference between discipline and punishment. They're not the same, right? And then I also want to talk about, because this may apply to a lot of us, or at least some of us, I want to talk about being the dad of adult children, right? Being the dad of adult children. I texted my kids today because as I was working on this, hold on, let me clear my throat real quick. As I was working on this material, I got to thinking, and I sent them a text. I said, hey, I just realized I'm not my dad. I'm your dad. So what I need from you is to help me know how I can be a better dad to you at this stage in your life. Remember, they're grown. How I can be a better dad to you at this stage in your life. I think that's important, right? So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about being a husband. You may have heard me say this before, but everything. So what's outside of everything? Nothing. 100%. So everything about being a husband is learned. All of it. You're not born with any of it. You're born a male. You have to become a man. Then you got to learn how to be a husband. So I want to help you understand your role in your wife's life. Okay? Help you become a better lover, have more patience, and show you how to encourage her to be better overall. Yet a lot of men complaining that their wife isn't doing this or that, but they don't have the skill set to truly encourage her. So they try to control her. All right, and I'm gonna show you how to do that differently so that you will encourage her, not control her, to be her best self. But listen, the only person on the planet who needs a husband is a wife. I'm gonna say that again. The only person on the planet who needs a husband is a wife. So that means you, husband, are not your husband. So you trying to be the kind of husband that you want to be, or the husband that your dad was, does not make sense. Right? Being a husband, honestly, is the most important and significant role you will ever hold in your life. I don't know if you knew that. Being a husband is the most important role that you will ever hold. There's no other role more significant than being a husband. I'm going to pound that home, right? Because one of the things I want to do is reduce the divorce rate. Now, I know I'm just little old me in my little, corner of the world, but I'm gonna do what I can. And if husbands would see their role as husbands as the most significant role, marriages would change. Being a provider is not your most significant role. It's important. Trust, the lights can't be cut off. You got to pay the bills, but how you pay the bills, the career you choose. Sometimes I get people who their job is anti-marriage, and I tell them, hey, I know you can't just go change your job tomorrow, but if you want to be successful at marriage, you need to come up with like a 5-year plan to do something else, because this is anti-marriage and it's not going to work out well for you. Yeah. Too often we put other things in front of our wife. So I want to help you correct that, so that you can have the marriage that you thought you signed up for, and so that you can enjoy it, right? I tell people all the time, marriage, and this is my opinion. Now, this is the gospel according to Clifton. I don't have research for this. This is just something I think. Marriage is too difficult, and it costs too much time, too much emotion, too much sacrifice, right? Too much bending and compromising. It costs too much to suck at it. I'm not interested in that. I didn't put this in my notes, but I will say what I'm gonna share with you guys in this being a husband part, I think is gonna be really, really impactful and insightful because of my own journey of evolving into a husband and just the ups and downs of relationships. Like at 48, man, the road that I've traveled, I wouldn't have chose it. But I'm glad that God is wiser than me, because had it not been for that road, I don't think I would be experiencing what I'm experiencing right now in my current marriage. Yeah, and I want to share some of that wisdom with you. Trust me, I don't mean to like uplift myself as the model husband. That ain't. I can call my wife in here and she'll tell you I'm not the. Well, no, she probably will say I'm the model husband because she loves me, but I'm not the model husband, right? I'm a model, I guess, right? But I want to help you be better, right? And so, but I want to make sure I say, I'm not so arrogant to think that you need to be like me. That's dumb. That doesn't make sense. But there are some things that I've learned that I believe will help you avoid some of the pitfalls that are just built into marriage and husbandry. I can help you. I had no idea that. So remember earlier I talked about sometimes you don't know what you don't know. That was me. There's things about marriage, because I've known a lot about relationships for a while, but I did not know what I did not know. And I want to share that with you. And then the last topic is going to be about God and purpose, right? God and purpose. So when I talk about God and purpose, I want to help you understand how God has already designed you to be great. Yeah. Already designed you to be great, right? Don't focus on what you've been through. Focus on what you have come through. You may say, now what's the difference? Been through, come through. Well, when you focus on what you've been through, you'll land in sadness. Okay? Man, I've been through so much. You'll land in sadness. But when you focus on what you have come through, you'll land in gratefulness, right? Don't forget. Sometimes we beat ourselves up over stuff that's not in our control, right? You had little to no control over what happened to you in childhood. But you came through it. And now God wants to use that to build you. Yeah. There's a saying that I like, which is God never wastes a hurt. If you allow him, he will bring good out of your bad. He'll bring light out of your darkness. But the thing is, God has been so misrepresented that a lot of men don't even know much. They don't know how much of an ally that this most powerful supernatural being is for them, right? Think about this. Listen, when anyone creates something, the purpose of what they are creating is already established before they create it. Otherwise, they wouldn't create it, right? I was in my wood shop this morning, and I'm creating. No, I created it now, but now I'm gonna add some stuff through. But I wanted to create a stand to hold my camera because I didn't want to buy a new tripod, right? So I created a stand with a pole or whatever to put the camera on so I can raise it up and down, because if it's made out of wood, I'm like, man, so how am I raise it up or down if I need to change the height? So anyway, I created a stand basically, but I was able to create it and complete it because the purpose of it was in the creator's mind before I started working on it. Nobody starts working on something before it's finished in their mind. That doesn't make sense, right? So when I do my webinars, when I tell you, hey, it's going to be a webinar, I usually send that on Monday or Tuesday. And I don't know if this goes with the creation analogy, but you get it. I already have a purpose in mind for what I'm going to do, right? But in the same way, whatever God creates, he already knows, it already has a purpose, and he knows what that is, right? No one, I'm sorry, that just popped in my head. No one creates something without knowing the purpose of it first, right? That means you had a purpose before you arrived on the planet. When you live your life based on purpose, let me say, when you live your life based on the purpose for which you were created, life is different. I'm telling you, life is different. I can attest to that. All right. Life before I discovered my purpose and after, different. Now, after I discovered my purpose, there's still dysfunction and things I had to, get through. But life was still different. And I'm gonna share that with you about, how life is different when you're working on purpose. And the thing is this, look, when you use something according to the purpose of it, it works better. When I use my shoe as a hammer, it's not as effective as it would be if I used it as a shoe, right? So I heard Miles Monroe say this one time: when you don't know the purpose of something, abuse is inevitable. That means when you don't know your purpose, you will abuse your life. Now, don't think that the only abused life is the drug addict or the alcoholic, right? Abuse means abnormal use. So we'll talk about the importance of God and how when you believe lies about God, you will suffer mentally and emotionally. Now, that's not about religion. And I ain't talking about the hereafter. I'm talking about on the planet. When you believe lies about God, you will suffer emotionally and mentally. Right? When I say that's not about religion, it's not. That's about design law. You've heard me talk about that before. Your belief in God or his design laws does not change the laws or your subjection to them. So we're going to talk about God's design laws, how he created things to be. And when you operate differently from that, you will suffer. Yeah. Just like you'll suffer if you violate the law of gravity, jump off a building trying to fly, you're going to suffer. There are other design laws like that one, relationally, and about love and about giving. When you violate them, you will suffer. Okay. So that's what I want to do for the next few weeks. And when over the next few weeks, when as we get into it, if you know of men who you believe would benefit from what I'm sharing, please invite them. Right? I want to help as many people as I can. This is what I was put here to do, to be a help and to encourage and to give insight. Right? I remember when I was a young boy. I don't know how young. I know a teenager, I think. I asked God for wisdom. Here's why. Because when I was young, I just I believe the Bible. As we get older, we get dumber, right? But when I was young, I believed the Bible, and so the Bible says, "If any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives it liberally." So I said, "I want wisdom," and I believe that prayer was answered. I'm not Solomon. I'm not the wisest man in the world. My point that I'm making is, over the next few weeks, hopefully that I can share something to put into your life to help you do love and life better, because I want to change the hood that we men live in. Yeah. Currently, the manhood, the space we live in, is not healthy for our families or society. We don't need more technology. We don't need more businesses. We don't need more excuses. We need more love. And I want to help you know how to access that, because at the end of the day, love is the only thing that matters. And if you're living your life in a way where love is not ultimately the only thing that matters, you're living it in a way. I'm gonna say it. You're living it wrong. There's a right way. There's a right and a wrong way to live. Keith Sweat said love, but I'm talking about living. Now, the right and wrong way to live is, it's. I probably shouldn't have said that, because I'm gonna throw some folk off. I'm not saying everybody has to live like me. I'm speaking in general. I'm speaking on a more broader term. So really what I'm talking about is living outside of love is wrong. And why I say it's wrong? Because you're going to suffer. So maybe I shouldn't say it right or wrong, but I mean, what you need so that you'll get it. How do I need to say it? I don't mind. I'll change it. But the point is, you got to become a better lover. You can't love if you're emotionally immature, if you can't communicate, if you believe lies about God, if you can't be vulnerable, right? If you don't address your childhood junk. Whatever was rejected in you as a little boy, you will find a way to reject as an adult. Yep, I'm gonna talk about that too. That's something I was thinking about a couple of days ago. What you reject, or what was rejected in you in childhood, you will find a way to reject in your adulthood, in your manhood. You will. Like, for example, if your intelligence was rejected, meaning, you were made to feel dumb, you were made to feel like you were not intelligent, you were made to feel like you just couldn't learn, you will, one of the ways that can show up, you can become a perfectionist. And so when you're at work, everything has to be detailed and, just like straight. Why? Because you reject the part of you that's imperfect. But we're humans. All of us are imperfect, right? So anyway, that's what I have for you tonight. Let me know. I think I can go. I can click on this thing to go see Oh, there we go. So I can see the actual broadcast. So, you guys didn't say nothing. So here's the thing too. I'm going to do these webinars because I want to. If it's 3 folk, if it's 2, if it's 35, if it's 175, what I'm going to do is just talk and share. Because what I've done in the past is look at the numbers and be like, man, they don't want this. But God had to check me on that. He said, I gave you this assignment, not them. I have folk that I want to hear it, and whether it's one person or 30, do what I told you to do. So I'm going to be sharing the information. If you want it, join me. If not, it's all good. All right. So open it up for questions for you guys real quick. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll stay on here for a little while, just to see if you have anything that you want to ask. Waiting. No questions. I see that it's a little lag, so I guess I'll wait till you guys to catch up to see if you have something to ask before I jump off. That's interesting. I don't think I knew that before, that it was a lag. So when I'm ending and I'm thinking y'all don't have questions, I wonder how many times I got off thinking it was real time. Y'all had questions and then I was gone. My bad. Let's see. You're very welcome. Is that Aaron? Is that how you say that? Aaron? You know, that reminds me of what's his name? Aaron. Aaron. I forgot his name, but you know who I'm talking about. But yeah. You're welcome. You're very welcome. If I had thought about this before, man, I really would have created some like materials for you guys to like have and keep and like take notes and different things, but I didn't do that. Maybe if I do this again next year, I'll do that because I think that'll be good. Because my goal is, I don't want to just be talking, right? I want you to get the information. And a lot of times we don't remember all of what we hear and see, right? But I want you to retain it. And so having something to take notes or, whatever, I think it'd be good. Maybe like a workbook or something. I'll think about that. Restate when the webinars will happen. So the webinars will be for the men. Now, let me just say this. I still will do the Friday webinars, maybe not every week because I have other things that I do want to talk about. But for the men, it's going to be Mondays called Manhood Mondays at 7 p.m. starting December the 7th. I don't have a graphic for that, but December the 7th at 7 p.m. And yeah, so any other questions that you guys have for me before I go eat some more turkey and dressing and sweet potatoes? I got beans, greens, potatoes. Yeah, I'm finna go eat. Eat. Yes. I'm looking for a trainer too. Any of you guys on here train? Because the older I get, my belly won't cooperate and it acts like it just wants to go down south is where it stays. I need to get in shape. Because my goal, let me tell you what my goal is when I turn 50. I'm giving you time to that question. I'm giving you guys time to ask a couple more questions. My goal is by the time I'm 50, which I have like about a year and a half, I want to play. Hopefully COVID will be over and life will be back to normal, kind of back to normal. I want to play in a basketball league. And it can be older men, like 40 and up, 50. I don't care. I just want to play in a basketball league and kill somebody. But I can't kill nobody like this. I can shoot, but that's about it. I'm not going around nobody. I'm not defending anybody. All right, so I want to lose this. So when I'm 50, y'all gonna have to come see me. All right. Am I going to make something like this for the women? No, the women are on their own. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Honestly, that's the best answer I can give you because now when I say this, I promise you I'm not trying to be overly spiritual, but I believe God gave this to me. And so if he speaks to me about women, then I will. Or if I see a need for it, because sometimes you'll see a need and that's God speaking. I don't know. But this one, I believe he spoke to me. So, but right now I don't have a plan to do something like this for the women, which is okay, because if all goes like I think it's going to go and you guys get it, we really won't need one for the women, because the men will be so amount up, and you'll be able to help them be better wives. Right? I did do early this year. I did becoming a wife. It probably was not as detailed as this little series is going to be. So this one was in my heart though, because I personally, obviously, know the struggles of being a man, hitting 18, 21, 30, and still not knowing what it is to be a man, because nobody taught you. Because we don't become men just because we get older. You got to learn it. And so that piece, and then just seeing brothers in my office just struggle, grown men struggling with childhood prisons, and a lot of them don't even know it. They think this is just how I am. This is my lot in life, and that's not true. And so I want to help us be better. All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, watching, listening, allowing me to speak into your life. How can I minimize this? I wish Apple would just make their stuff like PC. Yeah. So thank you guys for allowing me to speak into your life. I hope something was said that piqued your interest, so that as we move forward, starting December 7th, you'll be engaged. All right. Tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell a boss, tell a pastor, tell a whoever. Y'all come, let's go hear this guy. He sound country, but he kind of know what he's talking about a little bit. All right. You guys take it easy.